Welcome to Gallant Conversations. Gallant is a business-to-business consultancy specializing in industrial innovation.
We drive growth for our clients through strategies and insights in brand management and strategic communications.
If you're in an industry focused on progress at the macro level, we're here to facilitate a conversation, starting now. Hi, everyone. I'm here today with Analiese Anderson, who is the account executive for MicroThermal over at Microseismic. And today we're going to talk a little bit about her journey to geothermal. She's going to share a little bit about her company and what they're up to, and then she's going to invite us to a pretty cool event. So, Analiese, tell us, how did you get into all of this?
Well, as a kid, I really enjoyed picking up rocks. And I would go out for hikes with my family, and they would identify plants and animals, and I'd ask them to also identify a rock. And usually people didn't know what it was, so I kept asking questions about rocks, and eventually went to college where I got a degree in geoscience and in environmental studies. I was in the engineering program where I took some intro courses and learned about geothermal energy for the first time, but really the geology part and the policy part of the energy industry fascinated me. So here I am now working for a geophysics company that deploys these surface arrays, and I get to geek out with people about like how cool geophysics is and about different geothermal projects and how monitoring the subsurface can tell you so much about a different geothermal system.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
And so, so talk to me a little bit about kind of that, if you were to draw like a Venn diagram, you've got policy, then you've got the geology piece, and then you've got other maybe policy, geology, technology. Talk to me about kind of where you play there, because that's what you just described. But
yeah, well, Microseismic is really the technology piece in that triple Venn diagram that you talked about, because you need certain permits in order to just install geophones on some properties. So we touch the policy part in that side, and with geology, you need to know the context of the subsurface when you are applying geophysics data sets to analyze. So all three do overlap, and then on the side where you have just geology and policy, that's a very fascinating world to learn about, and that's what a lot of like landmen, like that career profession does. And you're probably more familiar than I am, since I joined Microseismic a year and a half ago as like the lead for geothermal. So I am new to energy, but I was in environmental permitting beforehand. So I learned a few things about permitting before coming to a technology company.
Tell me more. You were telling me a little bit about your first internship where you were getting to count butterflies, which doesn't even like, that sounds like my fantasy job, just sitting in the field all day long playing.
Well, walking through along transmission lines where they had seeded some natural wildflowers in Wisconsin when I was interning at the American Transmission Company, and they needed people to categorize when the specific type of butterfly, the Karner blue butterfly, was in this habitat they had provided along these power lines. And so we went along and we counted, and it was a very fun summer internship.
Well, how many did you get?
There really weren't that many. I think we had like 18 by the end of the summer.
Womp womp.
Which, I mean, but their habitat is expanding, and it used to be a lot smaller numbers, so it's promising work. And
it's wonderful.
shows how like different energy companies can support biodiversity and the environment and just doing things responsibly. So that really set the tone of what the energy industry can do and helped me pursue my career.
Well, speaking of doing things responsibly and doing things kind of with an environmental bent in mind, first of all, you shared something really cool about your origin story, if you will. Tell us a little bit about how your birthday.
Oh, yes.
This is the coolest thing ever.
So my birthday is Earth Day, April 22nd. And I grew up being like the Earth baby, like Earth child. And my family encouraged me to go down that path of like advocating for the environment and like just doing things responsibly, because my dad was an engineer. And so he's like, well, you need to think through the problems like an engineer.
Right.
So I've kind of had this duality where it's like, you need to advocate for what is right and have this responsibility to the general public, and you also need to develop things in order to have those hand in hand to make the world a better place. So Earth Day really set the seed in me as a kid just to advocate for the environment, and I think World Geothermal Energy Day can help plant the seed for kids and show them that subsurface technologies of all kinds, not even just geothermal, even though geothermal is pretty great. Come study this, come to these jobs because the industry is only going to grow. But there are other things in the subsurface that are also incredibly fascinating to learn about, like natural hydrogen, other kinds of mining and how to do sustainable mining, because we still need to make batteries and other things. And how do we do this in the most sustainable way? Along with like CCUS, I'm just thinking of all the other subsurface things.
It's an exciting time to be in the business, right?
Yeah,
I mean, gosh.
Yeah, we have so many new ways. Well, new is a relative term, but like with a compounding amount of ways to be more and more responsible with like all the technology that's come along. And geothermal wouldn't be where it is today with EGS and other AGS developments having supercritical CO2 in like a tube just all together, not even interacting with the rock. We wouldn't have that all today if all of these other industries hadn't developed to this point already.
We're standing on some mighty shoulders, right?
Yes, we are.
And with a new bent on environmental responsibility and so forth, it's really an exciting time. So let's talk a little bit more about geothermal specifically. So why doesn't every single backyard have its own geothermal microplant?
Because hydrothermal systems like that one are very unique, and they only occur in so many different places. That's a place that has this permeability, it has water resources, and it has heat. You can't find those three things all over the world, but with technology like GA drilling.
Yay, GA drilling!
Being able to reach deeper depths, and you're able to access these temperatures that otherwise you're not going to get these hot waters to the surface. We're able to have these three factors in more places globally. So that's really what is driving forward the geothermal everywhere ability is EGS, enhanced geothermal systems.
And then talk a little, so you were in the transmission side of the business, and then you spent a little bit of time in oil and gas, right?
Yeah, in the permitting side. So, I mean, my time in transmission was only an internship, but it was fascinating and did help me become more aware of the other sides of energy aside from just, all right, I pulled out this resource, now what? That was the now what part and how we get it connected to people. But I was working in environmental permitting, and then that led me towards getting my professional geologist degree. Well, not degree, it's a certification.
Right.
And so I have my geologist in training certification in Minnesota, and you need these professional geologists to sign off on all these fancy projects for carbon storage and whatnot, who are on the permitting side. But I really wanted to dive more into the technology side. Like, how are we monitoring it? How are we going to be able to make sure that we are keeping all of these projects responsible? Because you're only required to do so many things, but there's so much more that you can do to have the best project possible, both for efficiency and for
the future, right? Yeah,
for quality.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so if you're talking to a petroleum engineer, as an example, or maybe a finance person or a banker or something like that, what would you tell them in terms of kind of an amalgam of experiences? Can geothermal use anybody or leverage anybody's talents?
There's room for everyone in the geothermal industry. We need marketing professionals. We need petroleum engineers, like reservoir engineers, vital to understanding your resource. We need the finance people to help us figure out how do we get more funding so that we can keep making these projects and make sure that this clean, firm energy source is able to get to the masses.
And then tell me a little bit more about your invitation to everybody.
So on October 17th, it's World Geothermal Energy Day, and we are celebrating in Houston at the Carbach Brewing. It's from 3 to 6, and we're going to have some activities. I'm working on a few, but so far we know that we're going to have bingo, and it's going to be a fundraiser for WING, which stands for Women in Geothermal. I'm on the board of directors for that, and I'm excited that I get to share the message of WING, just bringing together people all from different backgrounds and have different professions too, that can work in the geothermal space and just have a safe spot for everyone to meet up and feel like they're seen. Because the founders of Wing, they went to these conferences and were like, wow, I only see one lady and she has white hair, but we're going to be friends. And so now there are more than just, I don't know, there's a wider demographic of people showing up to workshops and conferences, and Wing is able to encourage more diverse and equitable engagement with the geothermal industry.
It's a fantastic
So
organization.
raising money for that,
yes.
But we're going to be celebrating all sorts of other geothermal innovation, especially what's happened in Houston, because there's a bunch of groups that are based out of Houston that are for geothermal. For example, one that is a very big name in geothermal right now because they're leading the way in EGS projects is Fervo. Sage Geosystems, they are working on a pilot where they're doing energy storage, which is fascinating when you get into how much potential there is for pairing with solar and wind projects. So we can go down a whole rabbit hole about batteries and battery storage, but there's been a lot of innovation in Houston in the energy industry and in specifically geothermal. So I want to show the public, hey, look what we're doing. This is the energy transition in action. We are making it happen here in Houston.
Well, talk to me a little bit about, how people can get involved in World Geothermal Day.
Well, everyone is welcome to come and buy a ticket. You can volunteer if you are interested. We'll give you a free ticket if you do. But really, we would love to work with other companies who are advocating for geothermal advancement in Houston. So reach out to me. We have several different tiers of sponsorship. We can customize it so that you feel the most comfortable being involved, and we can amplify your company too, because we want to share these geothermal stories happening in Houston.
Absolutely. What is the number one thing that you think people need to know about geothermal?
Clean, firm. So I guess that's two things, but it's clean. We're not pumping emissions out. We're keeping everyone safe, and it's firm, as in it's always on. Geothermal energy comes from radioactive decay and the residual heat from the formation of Earth. We have terawatts of power locked in the Earth's crust. If we could just tap in, we can power so much, and we only need more energy as the world develops, as we need things to power everything from medical to memes. We need all of it. The fun and the necessary all need power. So how are we going to get it? Let's find new ways.
So if you like your funny cat videos and your chat GPT and all of that.
I saw something that apparently one AI search compared to one Google search, it's like 5 times the amount of energy. But I don't have a source to cite for that one, for that stat.
We'll link the source. We'll find it, because I keep hearing that too. And I want it, it's such an important number, but what is the kind of the backstory associated with World Geothermal Day, and what are they up to?
Well, I was approached by 2 guys who are based out of Pennsylvania, Jim Schur and Steve Krug, and they live in Pennsylvania, and they started World Geothermal Energy Day 3 years ago. This will be the 3rd year now, and last year we celebrated, Microseismic did, by doing a 5K and just wearing t-shirts that said, it's World Geothermal Energy Day, and I think right now a lot of people just don't know about it, so we are trying to share it as far as we can and get more people involved this year, more people knowing that they're at a World Geothermal Energy Day celebration instead of just participating on a 5K.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, that happens for sure. And what's the mission? What are they trying to accomplish?
So we are hosting World Geothermal Energy Day to highlight Houston as a leader in the geothermal industry. First and foremost, we're going to raise awareness that geothermal is a clean, renewable energy source. We want to tell this to all communities, people who haven't ever heard of geothermal before, people who are curious about it, people who are skeptical about it. Everyone is welcome to come and celebrate some of the wins that we have done in the geothermal industry worldwide and in Houston.
Analiese, who is kind of your biggest inspiration right now in terms of geothermal?
There's someone who always says, or I think of them as always saying, I'm obsessed with geothermal, and that's Jennifer Granholm. She's the secretary of the Department of Energy right now. And she was the Midwest girl power. She was the first governor of Michigan, or first woman governor of Michigan. And she was a trivia question at a conference, and I was like, I know who it is.
That's awesome.
I want a hat because I knew who she was, and she's always obsessed with geothermal. So
I love that.
Someone to model myself after. But another huge inspiration in the geothermal community is Jamie Beard and what she does with Project Inner Space. She is actively trying to pull together existing energy influencers and also pillars of the energy community. So you're having people from green spaces to people in like the more conservative energy. Like she's trying to bring everyone to the table and have conversations that we're able to.
That's everything, right?
Forward.
That's everything.
Just have a conversation.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I feel like as an industry, and I'm going to say the whole energy industry, we wasted 20, 30 years debating, fighting, doubting, and really we could have just been riffing on some great technology, which I'm so glad that we're doing that now. Yeah. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. What's your favorite rock?
There's one called eclogite, which has like these chunks of garnet in it, and so it's olivine, so it's a green rock, and it has these chunks of garnets in it, and it looks like a Christmas tree. So
I know
people
exactly.
call it the Christmas tree rock.
Does it have some sometimes some blue in it too, like a few little? Or am I thinking of a different?
I mean, it's mostly just green and red. There's like some like black flecks in it, but I mean, there's so many cool rocks. I love going to rock shops and nerding out with people. I mean, the easier rock to like is amethyst, just because it's more accessible. I mean, it's a quartz with some iron content in it. So and that's usually, if my family's getting me rocks, they're usually chunks of amethyst, because that was my favorite one as a kid.
Is that your birthstone? Earth Day? I don't know what the birthstone is.
No, April is actually diamond. So
yeah.
Have other I have that one too, but amethyst is a little cheaper.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. Well, one thing that I just would love to hear from you, what message do you have for independent operators or even family operators that are thinking about it? Maybe I hear it could be the next best thing, big thing. Like, what do you, if somebody has been, successful in hydrocarbon, what do they need to do to dip their toe in to start?
Yeah. Reach out. Frankly, everyone is very welcoming in the geothermal space. Everyone that I've talked to has been so willing to collaborate. So just show up to our events. Geothermal Rising, they have a big conference at the end of October, but they have regional interest groups. So no matter where you are in the country, there's a spot where you can network with people who are interested in geothermal in your area, and it's free to sign up for those regional interest groups.
And our friends at Geothermal Rising, that's at geothermal.org, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And if they want to find you on Microseismic's website, is it microseismic.com or
Microseismic.com.
And then are on LinkedIn. They can connect, reach out to you.
Analiese Anderson on LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. Analiese, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing your passion, your enthusiasm. We're really, really excited. I'm personally very excited to see so many, just brilliant people coming together to really use technology and human connection to solve one of the world's biggest problems. So thank you so much.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining this conversation with Gallant.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained meaningful insight.
If you find this entertaining or helpful, subscribe and leave us a review.
And don't forget to share this conversation with your network.
For more resources and to stay updated with Gallant Insights and our amazing client portfolio companies, visit gallantculture.com.
Join us next time as we continue to explore perspectives within the industrial innovation space propelling us forward.
Until then, we ask you to stay thoughtful and curious.